Hello all, Simon Toohey here, basking in the glory that is the summer heat of Melbourne, glistening as the sweat pours down my bodice. And we are cooking for you today something absolutely amazing. It is a Wellington of sorts, a beef Wellington of sorts, but I'm gonna flip it on its head. I'm using a butternut pumpkin, and I'm gonna be using a beautiful Duxelles of mushrooms and a stuffing using nutritional yeast flakes, hemp seeds, and bulgur wheat. It is divine, so come with me. You're gonna wanna watch this, and then you're gonna wanna make this for your friends come festive season, or any time of the week. It is amazing. I'm gonna start by roasting my butternut pumpkin. I'm putting it in a 180-degree oven with a little bit of oil on both top and bottom and cooking in there for about 15 to 20 minutes. I want it to roast. When you make a Wellington, a beef Wellington style, you cook the outsiders of the meat to start with to get that Maillard roasty toasty flavors, and I want the same thing with this pumpkin. So I'm putting it in the oven to caramelize up as best I possibly can. So, I've taken it out of the oven now and it's sitting there to cool down. So I want it to cool because when it hits the pastry, I don't want it to cook the pastry and melt all those buttery flavors that are in there, okay? So just make sure you let it cool first. But when it comes out of the oven, I'm gonna paint it with some Dijon mustard. While that's cooling down with the mustard on there, I'm gonna jump on to my mushrooms, which are gonna be the covering of the whole butternut pumpkin. In a blender, I'm putting in mushrooms, I'm putting in garlic, I'm putting in onion, I'm putting in cashews. All these things I'm putting in, and I want to put them in there and I want to blend them away, and I want to get them into a relatively fine sort of consistency, breadcrumb style, maybe a little bit bigger. Don't be too crazy, it's not a big deal. You just want it to be relatively fine, okay? So I'm blending that up. And then I'm gonna put it into my pan and I'm gonna cook out all the liquid. And it's really important to cook out the liquid because when you put this around your butternut pumpkin and then you wrap it in pastry, if you haven't cooked out the liquid in the mushrooms, you'll find that it's gonna get all steamy and all the liquid will then drop to the bottom and make your pastry soggy. So it's super important that you cook it out. Cook it really carefully. You do not want to scorch the bottom. As soon as you've done that, you've pretty much ruined it. And that's just gonna create a really acrid flavor, so be careful. While that's cooking away, let's jump on to our filling. It's our stuffing, because the thing I love, similar to that if you had a roast chicken, you stuff the inside of the chicken. This, you have a cavity as well. It's where all the seeds are. So you scoop the seeds out, which you've done at the start, I'm hoping. If I haven't told you that yet, scoop the seeds out, really smart idea. Get your bulgur wheat and your nutritional yeast flakes and your hemp seeds, and then put them in with a little bit of salt into a bowl, and then boil some water. Pour it over the top. Make sure the liquid is about that high above it. That's it. So give it a quick stir, check out how it's looking. If it needs a little bit more, add a little bit more, then put a lid on top. Let it sit 10 minutes over there. All of the bulgur wheat, the nutritional yeast flakes, the hemp seeds, soak up all that flavor. If you can use stock instead of water, just as good, if not better. And I want to add some sort of soft oniony characteristics, and I'm bringing back the chives. I love the chives. This is a little bit, they've been hanging out in my fridge for a little bit too long. More like a paintbrush at the moment, but we're gonna finish those off. So they're gonna go into our stuffing as well. I just want this right fine, right? So you don't want massive long strips of chive in your mouth, having to pull it out of your teeth because it is relatively fine. Gorgeous. In. Grab some raisins, really beautiful, and chop them up quite roughly because that's a sweet element that's gonna go in with your stuffing at the end. Fold that through. Right. There we go. So you have your hemp seeds, your bulgur wheat, your nutritional yeast flakes, your sultanas that have been chopped up, and your chives are in there. A little bit of seasoning. Stir, 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 stir. Put it in the cavity. Push it down nice and tight and hard. Be careful not to break your pumpkin. You can actually, because it's relatively soft, especially the edges where the cavity is, it can break down, so be careful. Push it down. Okay, pretty much all that moisture is done. I'll get out of the light. Still steaming a bit, but that's looking pretty good to me. It's caught a little bit at the bottom, but it hasn't burnt, so all right. Okay, so spread it out thin, and then into the fridge, just until it's cooled. Mushrooms are cooled. Mushrooms have come out of the fridge. You have your pumpkin here, stuffing's there. This is pressure time, okay? Super pressure time. Grab your pastry from the fridge or freezer, wherever it is. Line it up, square in front of you. Paint it with mushrooms, make sure it's evenly put all over. Then take your butternut squash, put it on top of your mushrooms about center. then with your hands, and if you want here, this is actually kind of crucial, put a bit of baking paper below it as well, below the pastry, because then you pick the pastry up, and in this case I used the paper or the film from the pastry box, but you can pick the pastry up, lay it over the top. You want to be quite quick here. You do not want the pastry to get so soft that it ends up falling apart, because it will ruin everything, and wet melted pastry is not workable pastry. And then do the same with the other side. Squeeze both edges to make sure nothing's covered. Then with a knife, make some beautiful little cuts if you want, be a little zhuzhy. You can also paint it with maybe a bit of oat milk or some sort of soy, or maybe you can paint it with some plant-based butter. Paint it, because it gives it a nice sheen. It's a really good trick to have. Don't have any. And then take that, and in your preheated 180-degree oven, dump it in there. 35, 45 minutes max, until the pastry is nice and golden on top, nice and crispy and delicious. Take it out and then let it rest. Let it rest for at least 15 minutes. And the reason for this is because all those juices that as sort of plants have a lot of liquid, they suck up all that flavor and they hold it beautifully. So let it rest. It'll still be warm when you carve it, I promise. Using your bread knife. Ready for the fall? The stuffing! The stuffing! Yep. I'm pretty happy with that. I could cry. Beautiful layers, the filling, and then you've got that gorgeous butternut pumpkin, and then you've got the mushrooms, and then you've got the gorgeous pastry. Have a side of maybe some beans, a fresh salad, some tomatoes. You can do pickled onions and some sort of barbecue sauce that you've made at home, not the shop bought stuff, proper good barbecue sauce with a bit of heat to it. And that to me is the epitome of a great Christmas lunch, or any weekend or any day. It is beautiful. It's worth treating yourself and others to a dish like this. Lentil. Our guest Lentil is coming in to eat, or leaving. What do you got? What's that, Lentil? What do you want? What do you want? Oh, look who's here! The legend Waleed, finally standing in the middle of a...
Something unbelievable right
I see. I knew. Straight from 2 suburbs over, you could smell something unbelievable. And also, it's his birthday.
I know. I'm 21.
He is. Look what I made. This is my new Christmas menu stuff going on for the moment. Look at that.
Wow.
It is like, beef Wellington.
I can smell this from right over.
Did you? That's amazing. Beef Wellington style, but using butternut pumpkin instead, and then stuffed. I guess it's kind of like nearly Egyptian style stuffing, but it's bulgur wheat with like raisins and there's hemp seeds in there, and there's some nutritional yeast, which is obviously not. But mushroom around the top.
It looks.
I know you love pastry.
Oh yeah. I mean, pastry,
it's your
me,
thing.
and that's my thing.
Pastry, me, and ghee. Is that what they call it?
It's pastry, syrup, and ghee. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's me.
That's it. Yeah, totally. Go on, give it a go. Have a taste. Let me know what you think. These are pickled red onions, and there's a pretty spicy barbecue sauce just to sort of round it off.
All right, ready? Who needs meat? I tell you. That is just heaven, man. You can taste everything. You can taste the beautiful mushroom, the soft, butternut pumpkin, and this
Barbecue
sauce,
number. Works a treat.
It just works a treat. It's buttery, creamy, and just heavenly.
But you know the funny thing about this? There is no butter or cream in it. Yet we still get that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You get that texture.
Beautiful.
So yeah.